Hey guys, welcome back to Winning Your Mind. I am Craig Graves, executive coach and leadership trainer here at Winning Your Mind. You know guys, we teach different mindset training tools here as part of our coaching program at Winning Your Mind. We teach the breath, and we go through some exercises where we define our purpose and our passion and principles, and all those things kind of fit together. We teach the big four of mental toughness. But you know, all those tools really are no good unless you train them, unless you utilize the knowledge and put it into practice. So one of the best tools that I've found to train the mind is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And so we've talked about training on the 5 mountains here on the channel and also on the site. The 5 mountains of whole mind integrated training, we define those as physical, mental, emotional, intuitional, and spiritual, or what Mark Divine would call Kokoro, which means heart and mind into action. It's a Japanese term. So we look for ways to train those 5 mountains, but we do it in an integrated fashion. So for example, when we're training physically, you know, we can also train mentally, emotionally, and obviously spiritually, you know, when you got to dig down deep. And so Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu hits every one of those 5 mountains. And I'm going to tell you why it does that and why I think it's the perfect mindset training tool. So obviously Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has the physical component. You know, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a combat sport. So, you know, you practice techniques, you're moving your body the whole time that you're training. When you're on the ground grappling with another human being, you'd be really surprised at how much that taxes the body. You know, we have CrossFitters, and I do some of those kind of workouts too. CrossFitters, runners, you know, all kinds of different training modalities. When they come in there and get on the mat, it gasses you out. It's definitely a different experience when you're in a real kind of combat situation with another human being. And Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, being a grappling art, gives us the opportunity to do that. You know, we can go in there and spar full goose with multiple training partners on the same day and walk out without a black eye or hopefully, you know. So there's that huge physical component. Not only that, most of the people that I know who train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu are also watching what they eat. They're watching what they drink. They're getting a lot of sleep. So it's really kind of a lifestyle, if you will. And the Gracie family out of Brazil, who actually created the art of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, they actually have the Gracie diet. So there's lots of, you know, there's the physical mountain is pretty much covered in the art of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So the mental part of it. So obviously, you know, you're learning new techniques. You know, we go in and learn different techniques whenever we train. We usually spend, you know, 30 to 45 minutes learning techniques and practicing techniques before we actually get into the sparring part of it. So there's that learning component of learning new things. You know, we're also keeping control of our breath, and we're visualizing success, and we're using those skills that we talk about as part of our mental mountain training. And you know, the breath is really so important. Rickson Gracie, who was arguably the greatest jiu-jitsu practitioner ever, said his whole life changed when he learned how to breathe. And he titled his book, his autobiography, "Breath, Life and Flow." And so that's you know, it's a very important component of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So there's that mental component. There's also the emotional component. Now, it's obviously a combat sport, and you know, most of the time nobody gets hurt unless something crazy happens. But there's that fearful component of battling with an opponent, and if you're in a competition, you know, that those kind of feelings can be heightened. There's also the emotional control of really the ego, I guess maybe is a good way to say it. Jiu-Jitsu gives a smaller, weaker opponent the ability to beat a larger, stronger opponent using the leverage of the body. So, you know, I've been beat by women wearing pink gis. I got a picture on my Instagram of me and Master Stephanie Cosby when she had her pink gi on one day. I've been beat by middle school kids, you know, and friends that I train with, and you have to be able to put the ego aside and be able to go in there realizing that you may get beat by somebody who's smaller and not as strong as you are. And there's also that component of wanting to win. I want to win, And so when I do get beat, I have to control the anger sometimes that goes along with that. I just turned 50 years old, and I try to be a mentor to the younger men and the kids in the gym there. So I don't want to get mad and show show myself if I get beat. So you have to learn how to control those emotions. Intuitionally, there's definitely a situational awareness component with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. When you're grappling on the mat with somebody else, you want to be situationally aware of what that person's doing, and so you might want to make them think you're doing one thing while you're attacking somewhere else. And there's also too, I've been training for 4.5 years. I haven't quite gotten there yet, but some of the black belts in the academy, it's like they know what you're going to do, right? So if I'm going to attack somewhere, there's one guy especially, it's like he's waiting on me to make that attack. And if I try that, he's already defending. So there's definitely that intuitional component there. And then finally, the spiritual, or the Kokoro. And when we talk about spiritual, we're not talking about a particular set of religious beliefs, but really merging our heart and mind into action and finding that 20x factor. We call it a 20x factor, which means you're capable of 20 times more than you thought. David Goggins would say, when you think you're spent, you still got 40% in the tank. And, when you're on the mat with somebody, especially a bigger, stronger opponent, then a lot of times you do have to tap into that Kokoro spirit to get through. We also talk about service on that mountain, service to others. And, I'm trying to get better in the gym when I'm training, but I'm also trying to make my training partners better. So there's some service components there too, going both ways. So, and the cool thing about training on those 5 mountains is when you are training one, a lot of times you're training the other. So when you're grappling with somebody on the floor, on the mat, training that physical component, there's also the mental component, the breath control, the visualization. There's also the emotional control. You don't want to get angry. You want to be able to manage your fear. You're looking for ways to tap into your intuition so you can attack or not be attacked. And then there's that digging down deep. So to me, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu hits all 5 of those mountains. And it does it in an integrated fashion. And it's a hell of a lot of fun. And something I'll talk about another time is it's a great place to meet like-minded individuals. So the people who are training in there are all like me. They want to get better. They're working to get better. They're doing interesting things. And it's a lot of fun. I've made some of the best friends that I have in my dojo. So there you go, guys. That's why Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is the perfect mindset training tool. And I would love to hear your feedback and comments as always. So comment below, send me a message, and I'll see you next time.